Main phase.
Hello. I think I left a window open there because I had a nice little echo on my intro sound, which wasn't meant to happen. But anyway, welcome to another part of mostly arcade games in MAME. I say another part, I do arcade streams quite often where the primary focus is arcade games because MAME does a lot of arcade games and it's kind of what it traditionally was, an arcade emulator, before we branched out into doing many more things. And it's always nice to have a look at some of the arcade games, discuss recent editions, and any little bits of trivia that I've discovered along the way. And that's kind of where we're going to be starting tonight, in fact, with Capcom's Forgotten Worlds. Now, I would just like to say hello to everybody in the chat. There's quite a few of you already here. We've got the Ogre who can't make it but maybe here on breaks. That's always appreciated, even if you're just dropping by. We've got Thomas, we've got Aussie Guy who is often leaving many of the little facts and tidbits that I'm then referring to later and looking up things about. So again, very, very helpful. We've got Carlo, we've got Cow, yes again Cow, but possibly no final lap again. At least that's not in my current list. We've got Big Jord who really wanted to see Where's Wally yesterday, and we did get to play that. We've got me, I don't think I need to read my own name. We've got Peter Force, and got GSI Matty, we've got Bob Loblaw, who said MAME Testers is working, isn't working, is working. Hopefully MAME Testers will settle down because it's kind of important, MAME Testers. And we've got Mo Burma and Mitchell, and I think that's everybody I've just been quickly scrolling through. Anyway, I think we should get on with the game though, shouldn't we? So let's change to that view and let's full screen it and let's insert a coin. Now you will notice at the bottom of the screen it says Forgotten Worlds Japan, and if you are familiar with Forgotten Worlds, you know that in Japan it was called Lost Worlds, not Forgotten Worlds. So this is kind of an interesting set. It had a very low serial number. And by all accounts, it appears to be a prototype. It's not marked in MAME as a prototype, but there are some telltale signs. Not least, the game will just end abruptly after one of the stages, rather than playing out all the stages, because clearly, at the point in development of this version, the stages were not complete. And I think that might also explain why this is called Forgotten Worlds, despite being a Japanese set. It is probably a version that was sent to the US for location testing without updating the disclaimer screen or something like that, so probably not quite fully in release build set to release build standards in terms of carrying the right title, or they wanted to display the US logo for some test and didn't have time to change the region screens, or I don't know, but I think that may be why this version is still called Forgotten Worlds rather than carrying the actual Japanese title. But some of the translations are different, and say some of the enemy patterns are a bit different. There's all sorts of little signs that this is not a finished version of the game. So yeah, it's always interesting to see these ones. And also there's an additional reason I'm looking and starting with the CPS1 game, and that is because there were just a couple of days ago, maybe a week ago, some CPS1 emulation improvements in MAME. And yeah, you could think CPS1 has been emulated perfectly for years, aside from the wait state issues, but that's not true. And in fact, any game that uses the star field, of which this is one of them, has not been rendering correctly since CPS1 was first emulated. Now the star field works by cycling the stars around different entries in the colour palette, and MAME was not handling that correctly. It was just a complete guess, and with the research being done for the FPGA implementation, such as the MiSTer, tests were done on the chip, and it was discovered exactly which colours the stars should cycle through and which stars should cycle through which colours, And so some of them cycle through the entire palette and some of them cycle through a section of the palette. And so MAME now correctly, as far as I know, emulates that, so the star field is now more correct. It's a minor thing, and say nobody reported it well, nobody ever reported it until the person who'd done the test came along and said, look, this has always been wrong, this is how it should be. Yeah, this was the first CPS1 game, and it's a very impressive one too, I have to say. Lots going on. Great visuals. I mean, it would have sold the system to many potential buyers, you know. People, after seeing this, would definitely be very interested to see what Capcom had in store next on CPS1. It's a big step up from other Capcom shooters, you know, sidearms and the like, visually. And the whole dial control as well adds a lot to the game. It means you can aim at what you're shooting at and move around the screen freely. And it just plays really well. And it had some pretty good home ports, actually. Obviously none of the arcade standard, but considering the limitations of many of the home systems, there were quite a few decent ports of Forgotten Worlds to the 8 and 16-bit systems. So I just wanted to play it for a little bit. And I don't think it's a forgotten game, but in this case, it's probably, if you know the game, it's probably a set worth playing because of the little differences. I mean, I don't know the game inside out. In fact, I don't know it very well at all. But apparently, if you have played Forgotten Worlds or Lost Worlds fairly extensively, you will notice all the little differences. But CPS1 had its own suicide issues, and a lot of the hardware's failing these days for other reasons too. Some of the CPS boards, they protected the layer enables and things like that, and where the registers were, to stop people swapping the games. And many of those chips were battery backed too, so it wasn't exclusively a problem for CPS2. It's just CPS2 is no, that's not. So yeah, Capcom had issues with suicide batteries way before CPS2, and they annoyed operators just as much. So, good evening, YouTube visitor. I am well, yes, thank you. I hope you are too. Is the music done by the same person in Ghouls and Ghosts? I've not looked up the credit. I got eaten by a fish. I got eaten by a fish again. It might be. It does have a similar sound to it, although a lot of Capcom's games do have quite similar sounds. So I'm not sure. It is not. I say I forget names and the like, so I'm not the best person to ask. Aussie guy would probably be the one in the chat who would know if the composer is the same between the games. And there's quite a lot of Capcom games don't really fit their theme. Once you've played that Ghosts and Goblins, a number of games that sound like Ghosts and Goblins, and you're thinking, well, this should be a spooky theme. It isn't. It's just quite odd. So they sound spooky and Ghosts and Goblinsy, even though the games are often not spooky. I don't like these big fish things. I do like the game. Now, of course, the spiritual successor to this would be Eco Fighters, which did have a spinner option, but a very rare one. But obviously, if you played Eco Fighters, you'll know it plays very similar to this, but with the whole kind of save the planet theme rather than just space shooter. And personally, I think this is a far better game. But maybe that's just me. Eco Fighters is a little preachy at times and just not as well designed. Scary thing is difficulty. Well, every game's difficult for me, so, you know. And I don't have to worry about, you know, running out of cash because I'm using MAME. Back in the day, yeah, I would have probably not been very rich after playing this game for a while. Especially bosses that spike me. Now, I don't think the cutting room floor has an update on this set yet, although it's probably one they'll cover in the future, because I know they do have quite an extensive article on Forgotten Worlds, but this set is, say, a recent dump, and I don't think everybody is aware that it's such an early build yet. I think Lord BVH may have done some coverage of it. I'm not even sure about that. Yeah, Orca did use a suicide battery on the bounty. You're right, Aussie guy. And we've not actually got the code from whatever is inside that module. I think it's the entire boot code for the game, unfortunately, is inside the suicide module, because the actual ROM does not contain the proper boot code for the first, like, 512 bytes of the ROM or something like that. Oh dear, I'm wasting a lot of credits on this boss. I meant to be shooting the heart, no wonder I'm doing that. I'm aiming at the wrong place. If I actually remember to shoot the heart, I'll do a lot better. Yes, I've worked that out now, Bob. I've just seen your message. I even got the tip that told me to shoot the heart in the previous shop, and I just completely forgot that I was on the dragon boss and trying to kill it. I always go for the head. It took a fair bit to get rid of him, actually. Embarrassingly so. But I think we'll play this until it boots us back to the title screen. I do love games with spinners for shooting. It's so satisfying. God of War hates to be attacked on shoulders. Yeah, I don't know. Also, what was the first game with a shop? I know Fantasy Zone had a shop, which would be before this. I'm just trying to think, when was the shop first introduced into arcade games? As in in-game shop, using in-game currency, not your own currency. Microtransactions do not count. Was it Fantasy Zone, or were there some before that? Somebody should sponsor Count and not make Final Lap references, and see what happens. I mean, cow is still essential to the stream, though Final Lap references are not. Without cow, we would have been in a lot of trouble on YouTube yesterday, because I wouldn't have been able to censor, power balls and squash. You know, cow performed a admirable duty of sitting there and covering the boobies. So, you know, I am willing to tolerate a couple of Final Lap references. I mean, I was almost tempted to say it was like a cow patch. Don't think we'll need the cow sensor today, though. I'm not planning on playing any games that I'm aware have adult content in, so you can sit and eat grass, cow, and be happy. So we're 18 minutes into the stream. We'll keep playing this for a little bit. I think it's level 3 or 4 it ends on. Oh, she did this. Ghouls, Black Tiger, etc. Apparently. Ah, Black Tiger was also on my potential list to play. But yeah, the CPS-1 must have been one of the first systems to be throwing around really quite chunky looking sprites. I mean, look at these hands. There's just something about it. Something about the smoothness with which it moves these big sprites that did make it stand out. Looks like Duke Nukem. Duke Nukem the 7th, or Duke Nukem goes to Egypt. Pharaoh Duke. Pharaoh Nukem, I don't know. may have died quite often. I'm definitely not one credit clearing this one, ever, in my life. Yeah, this era of Capcom games does also have some fantastic music. One of the complaints often levelled at MAME, though, I think, is that the CPS1 is set to mono because the boards were mono, and some of the soundtracks are just done in fantastic stereo, but the actual PCBs had no way to output stereo. It's time to spin, not kick. Ooh, just such a smooth spin on this. Your death lasts a long time.
Did the war god really die? No doubt about it. The king of gods must be saying his prayers now.
That voice acting. So, we'll play this level. I do have a good selection of games lined up for later. I say good, some of them aren't good at all. Some of them are by incredible technologies in Strata, and that's all you need to know. Don't know if I played those ones, but they're on my potential list. And they're pretty bad. Not Ninja Clowns though, that's just too bad. Yeah, I think you can hack the PCB to output stereo, but Jammer itself is mono, Bob, is the problem, and these were like boards for Jammer cabinets. Which is one of the downgrades that came with the Jammer era, really, is suddenly the standard connector was mono. So if you wanted your game to work with a Jammer cabinet, unless you were having custom audio hookups on the board, then you were stuck with mono. That was expensive. Yeah, Jammer only has mono sound, which is why most arcade games of the 90s were mono. So a couple did have extra connectors where you could hook up different speakers, but for the most part, yeah. I mean, it's not unheard of to have extra connectors on the board. Anything which had a dial would have had an extra connector. Anything with kick harness is an extra connector. But say that the Jammer standard didn't really cater for everything. Some System 18 games have suicide batteries. They have the FD1094 CPUs, which do have a battery, and yes, Big George, and they can die, including Where's Wally. It's a very ugly looking effect. Yeah, I've seen plenty of replays of one credit clears of Capcom games. I'm sure Lord BBH has done many of them. If you watched his YouTube channel, 1cc Lord BBH, YouTube, Twitch, and sometimes they get uploaded to YouTube too. He's cleared many of them. I mean, he's cleared every SNK fighting game on one credit. But I'm pretty sure he's done some Capcom games too. Possibly even this one. But don't quote me on that. But yes, good players can clear most games on a single credit as long as the games are fairly designed. And most are. It's just I'm not a very good gamer. I'm not very good at these games. They require you to keep your eye on everything and know where things are memorise where things are going to appear as well. A lot of gaming is memorisation, you know. If you know the attacks are going to come, you can preemptively avoid them. But I mean, people have cleared the cave games on a single credit, and they're the only way to get the final bosses sometimes on a single credit. So where are we going then? Where am I shooting this time? I'll take out these parts. Hey Christian, welcome. I hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Oops. I like that it doesn't let you go through the gate. I don't like that because it's unnatural, but it's like an invisible wall. Head, you never understood this boss. Unless it's just a survival challenge, but I don't know. That does something. Feels like a big battleship boss, but this opens if you move backwards and forwards. But I'm getting killed down here now. Oh dear. Well, I think I blew it up. The head turns into a red ball. Hey Marcello, welcome, I hope you're doing well too. Good to see you. Say good to see all these regular faces dropping by and saying hello. And if anybody is lurking and wants to say hello, I'm sure the chat here will make you feel nice and welcome. We do have a rather good community here. So the game keeps going. I can't remember at what point this game stops. But I do know it was said this game does stop early, so we are 25 minutes in. We'll keep playing for a little bit because it's a good game. But it's only vulnerable when there's the red ball. Yeah, it's probably one of those things. I don't understand the opening and closing of the gate. Attack the centipede's neck area. Can't buy yet. No, not going to. This is also obviously a two-player game. If you've got a second player, simultaneous, and it plays very well as a two-player game too. So yes, strong Egyptian vibes to the whole thing. Gate closed if you get too close. It seemed to be staying open if I kept moving backwards and forwards. It's so I'm not familiar with the mechanic either, so yeah, some beautiful art and sound and animation. I just love how many frames of animation there are for the whole rotation. They could have easily cut the number down to half and it would have still looked good, but the level of detail they put into the sprite work and animation there is it's better than a lot of games that came after it. These backgrounds too. These backgrounds would look fantastic without a game on top of them. Yeah, if you don't know, you are collecting the currency used to buy stuff in the shop. So that's why it's important to actually collect things so you can get the better power-ups. Now, in the Japanese version of the original game, I believe I read the last power-up you buy is clothes, and it says in Japanese that you're very naughty for buying somebody's clothes. But I don't think it results in anybody being naked. I was also surprised to find one of the games I was going to play on the stream does have nudity. I was thinking of playing Lady Master of Kung Fu, which maybe the title suggested it contains nudity, but I didn't actually know it did until I checked on YouTube and saw the videos of it being played. I don't know if the clone that has really ugly graphics also has nudity, but the parent set certainly does. Not a safe place to be. Yeah, there are rumours, but I don't think there's any way to actually make them naked. maybe at some point in development there was. Maybe somebody will hack through this version of the game and find out you can if you add extra levels, but probably not even then. I don't know. There are probably plenty of secrets in this version too, differences that people haven't discovered yet. Because it is a very early build in terms of, very low serial number. It's possible it be shipped to arcades in this form, but yeah, it's clearly not meant to be a release version. I like snake enemies. I think it's the way they wind around. Takes a lot of shots though. Got me. I don't know why such rumours would persist. Any rumour like that's going to persist though. I mean, there was the one about Art of Fighting for so long too. A rumoured cartridge where one of the fighters would get naked and people spending vast sums of money on cartridges because they thought it might be the one. Have I ever heard of the Cineflyer 13.1? Not personally, Snake. So this game does go on for longer than I thought it did, actually, considering I read that it ends really early, but maybe it's just quite a long game in the first place. What's that one? Is it? Does it have unique games on it, or is it the same games as another system? Because there are a lot of them that we've seen before with common games on. This stage is not in the Mega Drive port. Yeah. The two major cheats and the booby trap tick cheats. But yeah, if there are unique plug and plays out there that still need dumping, it'd be nice to get them dumped. I have seen videos of ones that aren't dumped that look like the 16-bit ones, but sourcing many of them is quite difficult because people don't list them properly, and it makes buying them tricky. Plus, a lot of people just threw them in the bin, I think. Hope springs eternal from Mature.ini. There are quite a lot of games missing from Mature.ini, I have to say. I'm finding I'm having to double check most things I put on the list before I play them because Mature.ini cannot be fully trusted. Blood Money. I thought Blood Money is the one that's more like Irem's Mr. Heli, or am I thinking of a different one? There's one game that's very, very similar to Mr. Heli, right down to the mining the squares to pick up stuff. I thought that was Blood Money, but maybe that's not Blood Money and I'm getting the game names confused. Yeah, the first ever CPS game, Carlo. There we go. The game ends there. So I don't know how many levels are missing, but this version of the game just ends there, like that, abruptly. No credit run, just very brief bit of ending text, and that's it. That is the Japanese Forgotten Worlds very early version that should probably be marked as a prototype in MAME. She did Rayforce too. Rayforce has some great music. There's at least 2 more levels. Yeah, so I think that one is marking in MAME as a prototype because, you know, it clearly it wasn't finished at that point. The game just goes, yeah, see, that's enough. Nothing else is finished. I don't know if the levels exist in the code or if they're just going to be in incomplete form, but it's one of those sets that I think deserves a bit of digging through. I'm sure somebody will, because it's a popular game. But now let's just move to one I remember working in the emulation of when I was emulating the Master System, and that is Astro Flash, which is on the System E hardware, which is a Master System based arcade board with doubled up VDPs. Marcello, if you're in the 48K basic, you press J to enter load, and then Shift plus P to enter, and that's how you load most games. For the 128K Spectrum, a lot of them you can just select the loader from the menu, although if the games aren't compatible they will just crash in the 128K mode. Some require you to enter different commands like load quotations then code, but they're quite rare. But for the simple load and then 2 quotation marks using the keys I just put in the chat does work for many games. So the gimmick here is you can transform into 2 different chip types. And I think this is an overlooked shooter because, well, it's on basic looking Master System type hardware. It does look nicer than the equivalent game on the Master System. It does provide a decent amount of challenge. Yeah, there's some nice parallax. They're actually making good use of the extra VDP they've got here, rather than just minimal use. It is checkpointed though, so if you suck at the game, you're not going to get very far. Auto fire may help too. It does automatically fire if you just hold the button, but you can fire faster if you hammer the button. This ship is slower, but obviously has the spread shot, which is kind of handy. Yeah, I think this one deserves to be played more than it gets played. It's a Sega game. Yeah, it's on quite dated hardware. Looks quite simple, but it does play actually really well. No, it doesn't have the FM module, Bob. Funnily enough, the Fantasy Zone 2 game and I think Opus still have the FM sound code in them, but the board doesn't have the FM module now. People have hacked the board to have an FM module and then hacked the game code to use it. But no, by default for some reason they didn't put the an FM module on there, which doesn't really make much sense to me, but I guess if it was meant to be a super budget platform, the module would have cost more. Although then they went for double VDPs, so it's not super budget. And yeah, if you have to continue, apparently you go right out to the start. This is a tough game. The second horizontal shooter we've played in a row. I could end up making this the horizontal shooter stream, even though that wasn't planned. There are quite a few shooters to play. I think it's got a nice tune anyway, though, Bob. I mean, Hang On Junior's got a really nice tune too. And I'm not actually a fan of the specific FM chip the Master System had. I mean, you can do some alright music with it, but in general, it's not the best sounding one. Now the Japanese version of this is called... No, this is the Japanese version. The export version of this was called Transformer, which makes more sense. It does have these indoor sections, which we briefly saw before I died, and obviously the overworld sections. But it's, yeah, I'm not going to spend too long playing it because we spent forever on Forgotten Worlds. But yeah, if you want a shooter you may not have played before, I think it's definitely worth having a look at Astro Flash, aka Transformer. A single game I was fond of as a child. I mean, I spent most of the time playing on the computer games, on computers, Spectrum and the like, and so probably one of the Dizzy games maybe. I played a lot of those. I spent a lot of time playing Rick Dangerous on the CPC, but that's mainly just because it was ridiculously hard. And then things like Toe Jam and Earl on the Mega Drive. It depends which area you're talking about, YouTube visitor. No, for Minius, I've not managed to fix that bug. I might submit the priority fix, but I've not managed to fix the bug where it fails. I did demonstrate a workaround on the previous stream, but I've not managed to fix the actual issue, no. Let's stick with Sega and play what is basically a sequel to Carnival. Transbot, yeah, that's the correct title. That's the Master System version, but the arcade version there does look a lot nicer. So Razzmatazz, it's a dial. I should probably put my mouse on actually. Hold on. Yeah, Nuclear Creature makes no sense whatsoever as a title. I don't know if it says that in game or if that's just the box art. Yes. If you played Sega's Carnival, this really feels like a slightly more modern version of the same concept. A shooting gallery. What did you miss? We played a bit of Sega's Astro Flash. Other than that, it's just been Forgotten Worlds and... So yes, it's this is a bunch of Carnival themed games, and in that case I was shooting the polar bear to try and get the fish, and every time we shot him he would change direction. Now, I think this game doesn't really get played as much as, say, Carnival, and you can kind of see why. It's not got that same simplicity. It's more of a mini-game collection. But it's not a bad effort by Sega. Yeah, you've heard that in heard this music in about 100 arcade games. Again, we're going to go for classic. Lose a bear, lose the gun. So you always rotate left. Which, if you remember... Oops. Again, it costs nothing to put classic music in your games, so classic music ends up in a lot of games. There we go. We're not actually concentrating, it's much easier. I'm going to have to check if this one is hitting the limiter in MAME actually, because I noticed the volume level is going up and down quite a bit, which usually means it's hitting the limiter and MAME's reducing the volume. So back to the bear section. Oop. I think it. Not sure there are other mini games. I think it might just be the shooting gallery and the bear. It is. Same drivers as Axon, Congo Bongo, and Ixion that we looked at before. Of those games, my favourite has to be Ixion, which is the one that didn't get released. But again, Sega didn't always make the best decisions. I don't know how long you can just do this for. I know when you hit the final can it ends the stage. But I feel like I'm farming points right now. And keep the can in the air too. Sega were prolific in the early to mid 80s, but a lot of the companies were. If you've got plenty of developers and plenty of people working on hardware, then you're going to be able to produce a lot of games. So yeah, I think this could do with more stages. I thought it was more of a mini-game collection, but in reality it's just these two stages looped. Nope. Game over. Can you shoot the fish? No, you can't shoot the fish, but a spider. You can only shoot the bear to change the bear's course so the bear gets the fish. Right. So that was Razzmatazz. Sort of say a semi-sequel to Carnival, but doesn't really have the depth of gameplay as Carnival, but still quite good fun. Developed at Sega Electronics, previously named Gremlin Industries, and was the last of the 3 games developed at Sega Electronics. I think you mean that there's Sega Electronics was unreleased. You mean there's a game Razzmatazz was unreleased? Oh, Razzmatazz was unreleased, was it? I didn't realise that. It's not marked as a prototype in MAME. So thank you for that, Aussie guy. I know Ixion was unreleased, but I thought Razzmatazz was released. So that should probably be marked as prototype too, if it wasn't released. Right. I think we played this before. Let's play Spider, a Spanish game by Buena Vision in '94. Now, this is a bit of a Kicks clone, and it's one of those where people have asked, where's the adult content in the arcade version? I think I said that last time I played it. But yeah, in this arcade version, you are just uncovering pictures of cars. There's a PC DOS version where you uncover similar content to what you would find in what's it called, Gauss Panic. Now you can't actually extend your line as far. You can only extend your line a limited distance in this, so you have to be careful. You can't just try and draw a line all the way across the playfield most of the time, because you get so far and then it'll say nope. Yes, but a spider. We have spiders and cars. There don't seem to be any sound effects, just music. It's it does feel very much like a PC DOS game or an Amiga game. But, we are playing a little spider. Unless there's a missing AY that should be hooked up or something, but I think it only has the one. Pig Mutant, Ixion and Razzmatazz were the last 3 games developed at Sega Electronics. That's really strange because they're all 3 are really good games. I mean, Pig Mutant's not perfect, but it's a lot of fun. Razzmatazz was sort of a little bit limited, could do with a bit more content, but it was fun for what it was. And Ixion is really, really good and one of my favourite games. So, I don't know. The music feels like a Master System Mark III game. It's an AY, not a Master System sound chip. But yeah, it does kind of have that feel, doesn't it? Pig Mutant is also marked as released. I remember Pig Mutant having no dump ROMs in MAME for a long time. Never really understood why when they were dumped. So a whole set of 3 unreleased games that are all actually worth playing. Yeah, this should have been on the Halloween stream, you're right. We did play Sigma's Spiders on that one. But this does have a nice pumpkin. Oh look, we get the full colour version of the car now. Which obviously, if you were playing the PC-DOS version, will be a full colour picture of the lady you are uncovering. As opposed to the blue and red scale versions. Maybe there is an arcade version with that content still in it, but it's not dumped. This is the family-friendly version. I mean, especially if it was in Spanish arcades where they weren't afraid to show the odd lady. As we saw in the Jaleco ones where they were using naked ladies for no good reason in the squash. I'm not going to spend too long on this. Oh, you circle the numbers on this round. Bit of a bonus round, a little bit different. Against the clock up there. They had good reason. Is it so that you would play the game, Bob? Bonus over. Surrounded coins, 6 of them. Again, another card to uncover. I've heard this music before. I'm sure this is music on a Spectrum game. I can't put my finger on which game it is, but I definitely heard this music on another game. I think it was a good game too. Quite an easy Gauss Panic style game, this one actually. Look, I've run out of web there, so I've not got the web extensions at the moment, so I can't go too far. Oops. Oh well. Game over. No, we will not be continuing. There we go. I could have put Hayes in rather than HZE. But that was Spider, a European game. And say it's basically it feels like a Gauss Panic type game for kids, at least that version. And nothing wrong with that version if that's what you want and you want to let a kid play a game with better graphics and kicks, a jollier soundtrack, and some spooky spiders and pumpkins. So, have I ever tried playing Boogie Wings, Colin? Yes, I play Boogie Wings on quite a few of the streams, actually. I usually play it on the Christmas type streams because it's got the big Santa Claus boss. And, you know, that's always nice and festive. But yeah, Boogie Wings is one of my favourites. It's one I helped a little bit with the emulation of back in the day too, so I am quite familiar with that one. Here's an interesting little fact one. Legendary Wings, the Capcom game. Now, if you note the attract mode, the US sets don't tell you the character names, and both the characters look like this. There's a red one, there's a blue one, they're clones of each other. Player 1 and Player 2 are the same sprite with a palette swap. You can see if you start the game. Now, that's different to the Japanese version. The Legendary Soldiers. Where you can see one of the characters is female and wearing pink and has different hair, and a general slightly different sprite shape. And also they're named in the intro, I believe. Just go through this. Yeah, it names the characters as Player 1, Michelle Hart, and Player 2, Kevin Walker. Now, if you play the other US clone, it does have two different player sprites, but rather than one being pink, one of them's green. So Capcom really decided they were going to mess around with the player sprites on this one. Bill and Lance. Is that what happened to Bill and Ted after Ted was in an unfortunate accident? But yes. We'll play it for a little bit anyway. Player 2 game over. I can see that. Thanks for flashing on the screen. Player 2 continue. No. It's a bit of an annoying place to put a continue message while the other player's still playing. And it is one of those games, yes, where you fly inside of things, and it turns into a bit of a platform game. So it's not purely a vertical shooter, as you might at first think. Though you can't duck those shots. There's another very rare unreleased Sega game called Wanted G7, unrelated to the Sega Vic Duel game. Oh, I might have to have a look at that one after the stream. Nice long names. Aussie guy. I'm assuming that Wanted game is also an unreleased game because it feels completely unfinished, and even had a ROM with no data in it, where not bad dump, just not used. Also, it's terrible. You do have a bomb in this, it's quite Xevious-like. But with this theme, what would you call this theme? Sort of mythical. Everything moves a lot faster than you do is the main issue, though. Air is wing. Yeah. But it's always interesting to see games that try and combine two different styles of game, as this one does, where you say you've got your vertical shooting sections, and then you've got these maze-like platforming sections. Unfortunately, in both sections you move incredibly slowly. This is one of the downsides of this game, is how laboured your movements are. You can only shoot straight forward, you can't shoot up or down or in any other direction. Nice spiky pit there. Well, it's not a nice spiky pit. I wouldn't want to be in it. But, look. I don't have to, because I can fly. Evening Retro Productions, and yes, it's evening here too. It is 9 o'clock. So, getting quite late, but this was a slightly later starting stream at around 8. Sometimes I'll start on about 7ish. But I decided to go with an 8 o'clock start today. For no other reason than I wanted to get on with a few other things first. As is often the case. Yeah, I do love the visual style of this one. All the stonework. It's a good look. You see so many games where everything's just made of metal, and here it looks like sort of ancient Greece, and you know, it looks really good. Once you get used to the playercraft speed as well, you can kind of deal with it. You know you're not going to make making quick manoeuvres. Then things will throw you off like that. That wasn't a power-up. Yes, I mean, we've had some quite stylish games actually. I mean, we started with Forgotten Worlds when that had the really strong Egyptian theme, and any game that's really well themed like that, I do happen to, you know, I love it. I think it adds a lot to the game. The same with that CPC dev Shovel Adventure we looked at briefly yesterday. The whole Egyptian theming there just adds so much to the game, much as it did in things like Omumi in the first place. Reminds you of Kid Icarus. Yeah, it's the same type of idea, isn't it? Yeah, a bit of legendary ones. I say I wanted to show off the different characters in that one, rather than spend too long in actually playing it. So, where next? Where next? Where next? Ah, yes. Let's go with a very 80s one. Let's go with Black Hole from TDS and Mints. Now, this is the one that is in 10 spot as Mission Rescue, but or a version of this is. It's quite an odd Galaxian style hardware game where if you shoot these things, gaps form in them and you can fly through the gaps, although not in that case. This is not a very good demonstration of how to play this game. Now, the ship is ridiculously big. I think you have to blast a hole through this thing as well so you can actually make it. Is this based on the movie? I don't think this is based on the movie, no. TDS stands for Tokyo Denshi Sekai. What does MINTS stand for? The end. That's a crude way to do a text animation. Yeah, UK for me. UK for me, Retro Productions. Your ship is too big. I find that's my general feeling with this one. It's very difficult to avoid anything when your ship is this big. So I guess you really... And they close on you. Yeah, I think it is based roughly on Galaxian. It's a Galaxian hardware. And it almost feels like it could be a hack of Galaxian in some way. I'm sure the version in 10 spot's easier. I don't know if there's a dip switch. Not one that explicitly says difficult. This is tricky. Yeah, don't open them so soon. But then, when you open them, the angle of movement changes. But yeah, maybe not opening them too soon is a good strategy, but then you've still got to blast through this. So if you stop blasting, you're in trouble. I think you can re-blast them at any time as well, so as long as you blast them when they're relatively close to your ship, you're okay. But as soon as you blast them, they do, I think, start to head straight down. Okay. I don't know why that one didn't kill me. Is only the top part of your ship vulnerable? I've lost my pattern again now. Come on. Oh, Mince's programmer credit. Maru Isiuka, Nomaru, Tachibana, and Shikata. Okay. So, is that just... yeah, it is... I think if you get used to it, you'll be okay. Also, yeah, I do think only some part of your ship it collides with it. So, yeah, I can put the bottom of my ship through it. So I think just the top half of your ship is where the collision is. So if you keep that in mind, you're probably going to do better too. I don't know if we have to blast the thing at the top afterwards. But again, this is quite an obscure Galaxian hardware game that I don't think most people are going to have played. Which is why I wanted to play it. Because that is often the idea of these streams. Kind of reminds me of Gorf, blasting through a barrier. And Phoenix, obviously. I think the version in 10 spot's actually easier because it shows your ship as smaller, so you have a far better idea of where your ship is. It doesn't render the part that you doesn't collide. So... there. So close. Unnecessarily fiddly. Yeah, it's maybe not the best game. I will quickly look at the version on 10 spot though, because there is a version on there. We did fire at 10 spots yesterday. Smart is not working because the way the game change is done is just hacked into it. Here we go. It was called Mission Rescue on this. But you can see it's the same game. Oh no, your ship is the same. I don't know, maybe it's no easy. Maybe it's no easy. No easy, I don't know. There's something feels different with it. Though the sound seems worse. Yeah, it's okay, it's not easy, it's just different. Anyway, yeah, maybe a bit unnecessarily fiddly. Might be one that's worth persevering with and seeing if you can get some enjoyment out of it, but I wouldn't blame you for just not playing that one, to be honest. Where next? Where next? Where next? Yeah, we played a fair bit of Jaleco yesterday. Let's play another Jaleco game. Let's play TH Strikes Back. One of the ones that everybody really enjoyed seeing the DS5002 FP dumped. Shots did seem a bit faster, Yemo. I was going to say that, but I thought, is that just me? Now, there was a bug fix made to this since it was first added, a very minor thing.
I'll be back.
But Cam did fix the priority on the title screen, so that it shows the logo. Maybe there are some explosions there, I'm not sure. It doesn't use many of the priority registers in any place in this game. but it does use them from time to time. Now, you may argue that she was naked there, but I don't think she was naked. I think it was just the visual effect. But you see, the Jaleco logo there is actually doesn't display unless you only get the priorities correctly. They made Cosmo, Black Hole, and Black Beetles. I think Cosmo's in MAME, isn't it? I don't think Black Beetles is, unless I'm mistaken. Turn this down a little bit. It's quite loud. So yeah, this is much more of a run and gunny Metal Slug type game than the original Thunderhoop was. It doesn't really scroll in multiple directions. The levels are mostly... Well, they do scroll in multiple directions at times, but they're mostly just long horizontal runs with the odd bit of vertical scrolling. But yeah, the DS5002FP on this one controls all the enemy placements and things like that. So without that dumped, all the enemy data and where the enemy was meant to be was missing. So it was essential to have it dumped for the game to work. Yeah, everybody inflates before they explode. It's a very odd art style again. And I've got worse at this since I first emulated it. I used to be able to clear the first 2 stages. Black Beetles is unemulated. Are there videos of it out there? Because I know there's quite a few videos of unemulated bits and pieces. Like I'm not even trying. Hey Aramas, welcome. I hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Thank you for joining. Not shoot from behind. There we go. Ninja Turtle boss. Yeah, it does have a bit of a Ninja Turtle feel to it. Let's just blow everything up for the sake of it. There's another one I'll have to check out later, Aussie guy. Little rat there. So, yes, they definitely when they put a lot of effort into animating the explosions here. And deaths, such as that fire one there. But yeah, maybe it's a bit more like a Contra and things like Surprise Attack than the original Thunderhoop was. The original Thunderhoop was more of a platform game with little areas and areas you had to access to get power-ups, whereas this is much more linear. And Jaleco's other game, Biomechanical Toy, is kind of the opposite. That was far less linear with loads of secrets and multi-direction scrolling. I don't know. This probably gives a more pure arcade experience. Still got things that leap out from cages just like the original Thunderhoop though. You can tell the nods to the original game all over the place. And it plays quite differently. Yeah, a lot of people call this Thunder Hoop 2, but it's actually called TH Strikes Back or Thunder Hoop Strikes Back. Don't do that. No random crashes in this one either. This one just works properly. I've completed it a few times. No issues. Which is good. I don't like issues. Unless that's an issue there where it flashes the screen too early, but I don't know. This stage is hard. This stage is like almost memorising things. You know, you can shoot these, or you can... Okay, I think that's as much as TH Strikes Back as we're going to play. But definitely one to check out if you've not checked it out. It's been emulated well for a good few years now. But yeah, worth playing. A lot of fun. Good Spanish game, that one. What shall we go for next? I've got a whole list of games here that I can potentially play. I'm going to go for a lesser played Williams one, I think. Yeah. I think these Jaleco's developers clearly like Toki, because even the original Thunder Hoop is very like Toki in many ways. Biomechanical toys, not quite so much like Toki, but Toki itself, I've always said, feels like a Euro platformer. Maybe it just influenced a lot of Euro platformers. But yeah, Williams Bubbles. Williams are known for all sorts of games, Defender and the like, but Robotron, and very rarely do people talk about Bubbles. But I always found it to be quite a fun little clean-up game. Avoid the sponges though. It is one of those picking up the objects to grow. There you go, before they go down this plug hole. And there you go. It's almost like a pacifist Robotron for kids. You're not shooting things in multiple directions, but you are still moving around an arena, sort of trying to collect things. It's like the rescue the humans part without the shooting the robots part. It's also got spiders in. So if our friend Spider is still in the chat, here are some more spiders for you. Oh dear. I'm the best because nobody else has played it. Yes, I did have to enter my initials twice apparently. That's weird. I think I did. One of the Beatles reminded you of me. I honestly don't know. I can't say I've ever compared myself or been compared to one of the Beatles. I do know a few people who do look like John Lennon, but okay, got a little hand. Smiley bubble. Avoid the razor blades, because and the spiders. There's a lot to avoid in this game. But you do just become bigger and bigger. It's one of those games. George McCartney. Ringo. Is this where we start going up and saying that I should narrate the Thomas the Tank Engine games again? I know one of the comments on one of my videos is that I should do some Thomas the Tank Engine narration. In fact, I could easily do some Thomas the Tank Engine narration because we've got the Tether's... Is it Tether's story? The Jack specific one, and the sound chip that reads it out is not emulated. So I could pretend it had proper narration just by reading it, but I'm not sure it'd be quite the same. Why do I enter my initials twice? I don't get that. When John found that crazy climber run with the weird music. Yes, I played that on stream before, Big Jord. It seems to be an obvious case where they used music they weren't allowed to use and quickly had to change it. Ringo wears sunglasses indoors at all times. I don't think I have any sunglasses. Well, maybe I do somewhere, but I've probably just left them somewhere because I've not seen them in years. Yes, there are many odd sets like that Crazy Climber thing, where clearly at some point in development, say a piece of music was used and then had to be removed. More famous examples of things like Pengo. But yeah, that Crazy Climber is definitely another similar case. Because the original tunes are clearly ones that they would have had to pay to use. I'm going to hate spiders even more after playing this game. Bubble too small. My bubble's not small anymore. My bubble's too big now. My bubble's so big I can knock these around. No, my bubble's getting smaller. Too many razor blades. Alright, Retro Productions, thank you for joining, and I hope the rest of your evening goes well. It's always good to see you. And yeah, there'll be plenty more streams. Probably not another this week. This is probably the last of the streams for this week, but maybe next weekend we'll be doing some more streams. I've got quite a busy week ahead of me with various things to do, places to go. I'm looking forward to possibly a trip to Birmingham at some point. So we will see. Because Evie would like to go there. Anyway, let's go for a breakout type game. The SNES version has completely different music again, does it? So now we're going with Block Carnival, also known as Thunder and Lightning 2, which is a little bit quiet, unfortunately. Hold on. Let's turn the volume up. So, Block Carnival is one of the titles, Thunder and Lightning 2 is the other. Take your pick. Block Carnival is apparently the Japanese title. System 18 ROM hackers. Not really anything as specific as that, Big Jord. So, this is a breakout Arkanoid clone that will probably make you hungry. For it is full of cakes. Oh, that's not a very good thing to do. Unfortunately, the intro is probably the most impressive thing about the game. Other than that, it's breakout with food. It does have, it's joystick based. It does have a speed up function to move more quickly, which again is kind of important for this type of thing. So you can always catch the ball if you let it run a bit too far away from you. Sega don't use region flags, Big Jord. Their games are different, entirely different compiles. Any regional stuff in the program ROMs gets stripped out. It's not like Capcom and SNK and Taito where the region code is in the ROM. It's compiled out. You just got some donuts. I just lost a life. I think that's a bad power-up, isn't it? That's an anti-power-up. Yes, farmyard sounds aplenty. Can't escape through there, even though there's clearly a gap. More fireworks. Another one to note if I do a stream about fireworks next year. Codename Cake Base. Terrestrial apparently makes me slow. That's not good. My speed up feature's gone. It's really the music. Or was this ROM loaded incorrectly? The flashing turtle just made me really slow, so I think it's a bad thing. I thought it might be a good thing. I've killed the cake boss. Honestly, this game is strange. I mean, obviously it's not strange in the gameplay sense, it's just breakout. And your ball gradually gets bigger, which means it can actually destroy things you couldn't destroy before. That must be good. I hope. Yeah, that's definitely good. The music just seems to be random samples though. I don't know if it's meant to be or if there is actually an emulation issue here. Hey Gangrel, welcome. It's not the strangest arcade game I've ever seen. It's not even the strangest breakout type game I've ever seen. If you want a stranger one, we should put, I think it's Saru-Kari with the singing hamsters. Here is the crab boss made of crackers. So yeah, if anybody knows if the music's correct, please let me know. Otherwise, I may have to look at the ROM loading and see if things are loaded in the right regions. But it may just be that strange. And hey Evie, I hope work went okay. Thank you for joining the stream. I know you weren't expecting me to be streaming today, but say I've been getting on with work stuff all day and felt like doing some playing. Snacks and Jackson's definitely a strange one, yes. I don't think there's going to be anything to display the Where's Wally title screen, Big Jord. Say Sega just compiled that stuff out. For other food-themed games, you can have a look at the Atomic Wave Sushi Bar, which is sort of a Tetris-style game that's full of food. Well, not really in MAME. It's kind of playable. It's not one of the slower Atomic Wave games. But we'll play this live and then... yeah, maybe we'll look at Saru-Kari. I've played it before, but it's always worth looking at. So the ball thing goes from left to right. I guess that's the size of the ball? I don't know. Oh, we've got a train going along. That acts as a barrier. That's exactly what trains do. And you slowly move up the screen as you run out of time. Assist from the penguin there. Yeah, say the stuff's left in the sprite ROMs, but it's all taken out the program ROMs, Big Jord. Sega don't leave anything in the program ROMs for other regions. That was stupid. Concentrate. Or don't concentrate. I wasn't concentrating. So, yes, that is Block Carnival, also known as the sushi level background is a bunch of different kanji for fish. Yeah, definitely a food themed game, that one. PCB video. Does it sound like MAME? Or is MAME getting that horribly wrong? This wasn't originally on my list, but if we're going for strange breakout games, I've shown this before, but yeah. Supernova. You're back, Christian. Welcome back. I hope you got what you needed to do done. Now there are some zooming gaps in this, unfortunately. This is a problem with the Supernova type sprites. The Jackie Chan game suffers from the same. It's probably why there's black lines on the side of the screen, the colour lines on the side of the screen in some of the intro screens too. But yeah, it's Breakout with a hamster. Okay. Yes, that would be quite challenging, Christian. I think the ogre is trying to do the same, or at least watching on breaks. Yes. Tizen block Kuzushi. Unfortunately, this was localized as versus block breaker, and all the fancy content was taken out. The intro song's gone, and it just becomes an incredibly boring game. I don't know why they'd take that out. I know it's in Japanese, but still, it's got character. It actually makes the game feel worth playing. Now, you'll notice the screen is getting pushed and shrunk, and the zoom effect that's going on, which, again, is sort of unique to this game in terms of a breakout-style game. It's squashing your play area as a sort of timer, I think. Can't remember exactly what happens when it gets too squashed, but... We push back, and we win. Again, a gap in the sprite there, but and a gap in the balloon. I don't know, it'd be nice to fix these gaps, but zooming precision is one of the hardest things to get right in emulation. Unless you've measured how the zooming works on a PCB, ran tests to work out the exact algorithm for which pixels get drawn and which get skipped, and yeah, sub-pixel precision, and it's not fun. It's not something easy to guess. I've got the miniature one again. As you can see, this guy's pumping up a balloon that is squashing my playfield. I've got an extend. They do like using all the zooming effects. The whole game is sprite scaling the whole time. It definitely shows the hardware could scale sprites. Let's continue. That's a good power. Lots of hamsters. Look at all these hamsters. Look at them run off when they fall down. And we're not going to play too much more of this. I'll just play until I die, I think, and then... Well, until I lose the credit, and then we'll move on, because this wasn't in the original plan. I don't plan playing a little bit of it, but... I have played it before, I think. At least I hope I have. No, I want the fist. Give me the fist. No, no fist for me. Come on. Oh dear. Yeah, the Bomberman balloon. It's Kaneko though, not Huson. Again, slight gaps because of the zooming. Oh well. I failed. And yeah, it tells you get the special power up if you continue. Even the high score table is all sprite scaled. But I think that is possibly the strangest Breakout game I've played. Because you are literally throwing hamsters around. And it's got the theme song. That'll do. So we've played a bit of that one. There are actually a bunch of other Breakout type games in my list, but I think I want to go with what seems like quite a bad game now. I apologise, but sometimes we have to look at them. This is Hot Shots Tennis from Strata / Incredible Technologies. And this is one of the games that Strata and IT did that wasn't Golden Tee. And really makes you think they didn't deserve any success whatsoever.
Yeah.
Look, I can choose I can be... Or I can choose Arthur Butts. I don't know if that's me or the opposition. But look at this frame rate. Look at this. Full split screen. And about 5 frames per second on the animation. Wonderful. Swing when the spot turns red. Okay. Buried him. Wow. That feels so like something that should be in a tennis game. Not completely out of place. It's almost like it came from the bowling game. Strata bowling. Just scroll if you go to the edge. Yeah, I did. I was just in the wrong place. Useless tips. Doesn't feel like it's running properly, but this really is just how the game is. All these Strata games from the period run like this. You put something like Peggle on, and it's just the same. It's horrible frame rate. Oh look, just random insert a coin in the middle of a game. Yeah, because why not? Why not just try and steal my money in the middle of a shot?
Overhead. 15 all.
I didn't even miss the shot until I had to put some money in. It just decided I played long enough.
15-30.
Because that's what these Incredible Technologies and Strata games are all about. Just trying to take your money. They're just awful. I think the fact that Golden Tee succeeded is just a bit of a tragedy. Because that's the same model. It's just like, oh yeah, let's take money at every opportunity. Doesn't matter how skillful you are, you need like so many coins to complete 18 holes. And all their games are junk. Could do an entire stream with them and not have a good game to play. Yeah, caused me to miss the shot. It's just not good. What sound effect was that? But sometimes it's worth looking at these just so that you don't have to. Maybe.
Love 30.
We can look at another bad 4 split screen game soon. That sound was the first good thing in the game. Possibly. Can I just run away?
15, 40.
Well, that was a strange animation. I honestly don't have a clue when it's going to ask me to... Oh, there we go. I've run out of time now. You think it was the mailbox sound from ToeJam and Earl? When did this come out? 1990.
Yeah.
Just horrible games. Really, really horrible games. I think we've seen enough of Hot Shots Tennis. What are the controls on this? I don't know. Analog and pedal. Oh, this is going to run well, isn't it? Max RPM. The game that's very much like Spy Hunter 2 without being Spy Hunter 2. Hey Peter. Yeah, I played lots of the Jaleco games on the previous stream, which obviously you played a great role in getting emulated. I think I lost. Also, this is too loud, so I'm going to turn that down a little bit. So, yeah, if you've played Spy Hunter 2, you know that they did a 4 split screen thing where they put a divider in the middle of the screen, and this is basically the same rubbish. Except this time it's drag racing or something. It's unresponsive, it's ugly, it sounds terrible, and there's no legitimate reason you'd ever want to play it. And yes, I hope you're doing well too, Peter. It's always good to see you around. I will be trying to fix more Jaleco bugs at some point. There was a report yesterday that touch and go crashes on the 3rd stage, but I was unable to reproduce that myself. So, yeah, I don't know if there's any more to this game than just drag racing, or if this is literally it. I'm not qualifying. Anyway. I don't think the computer card makes any mistakes either, so if you don't get it right, then you don't qualify. What a miserable game this is. At least to me. Maybe this game has some fans, but I'm not one of them. You're using half the screen, I believe it had a physical divider, just like Spy Hunter 2, and it's somehow even less fun than Spy Hunter 2, which we can briefly look at. 268Ks for this. Spy Hunter 2. The game absolutely nobody remembers. And I think we've got controls. What are we going to do with these controls? I don't know. Let's do something with it. Great, isn't it? Yeah. Apparently, you know, there was some idea at the time that into the screen, split screen racing games were a good idea. And apparently, you know, following up one of your most famous games with something that has almost no gameplay value at all was also a good idea. I mean, Spy Hunter was known for being fast, maybe too fast to really be playable. What on earth is this? I mean, you have to hold the gears apparently. It doesn't stay in gear. Okay. So... okay, if you hold the gears, you stay in gear, which is awkward. Still, yeah, there are some crazy people who like Spy Hunter, aren't there, Bob? Maybe they should be forced to play this one and then appreciate that the original Spy Hunter is playable at all. Yeah, I've had enough of that. Again, you're using half the screen, and it's why do that? Why do that? Let's fire up. Yeah, it's one screen divided in two, Carlo. There was a physical divider between the two screens, but it's one screen. Let's load up the Konami 80s AC Special. Now, this is a PlayStation-based hardware thing that kind of emulates a bunch of Konami classic arcade games. I say kind of emulates because it's on PlayStation hardware, so it's partial emulation. Yeah, when you botch a sequel to a famous game especially. This does boot. I booted it earlier, there we go. But this one is kind of noteworthy because if you open the CD image of this, you can find it's got the old zip files and dumpers notes from back in the day. You know, when these games were first dumped for people to try and emulate them, they distributed them a text file saying, you know, dumped by this person, this is the PCB layout, blah, 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 blah. And yeah, the CD that this game used, this game that was published by Konami, still contains those dumper note files. Spy Hunter 2 got re-released on Midway Arcade Treasures 2. I'm sure everybody really wanted that one, didn't they? Nicely presented arcade collection. Sadly, there is quite a bit of input lag. What shall we play? Should we play a bit of Pooyan? We were playing Pooyan the other day. But you see, it tells you what's going on. It's really well presented, actually. I really can't complain about how Konami presented this. But I think because the originals are emulated now, nobody really ever plays this, because there's not actually much point. Unless you want to see the presentation, you're just going to play the original versions of the games. Does it incorporate... It incorporates incomplete dumps and the like. So things like the colours are probably hard-coded in many cases if they use colour proms. So it's a very early emulator. But interesting. It's always interesting to see early emulators. And say the PlayStation can't fully emulate the platforms in software, so certain things are probably HLE'd. I imagine the audio is. The graphics are probably being pushed out to native cores. But if you're doing it this way, you don't always need complete dumps in the first place. But, I'm not very good at this. I think the input lag isn't helping. You do notice it because the original emulator had a bit of input lag, and that comes across in when it's emulated. I mean, people at the time were just happy to see the games running at all in these collections. They didn't really care that much if there was input lag. But you do notice it. Yeah, there's a bit of HLE going on with these, just to get them running on the PlayStation, I'm sure. If you look in the files, it doesn't look like it's pure emulation. Again, it's not going to be emulating discrete sound and filters, and it's probably just got samples for a lot of it. Super Cobra on this has the Scramble theme. Yeah, that's probably because they're not emulating the sound at all, Aussie guy. In fact, we'll put Super Cobra on next then. They've probably got just a sound engine for Scramble board that they load when it loads Super Cobra. It doesn't have any differences. And the sound is kind of bad, if I'm honest. It shows you how far we come with emulation in many ways. It just feels off. I'm sure at the time people appreciated it because it had been quite a while since they'd seen the originals, or they'd only played bootlegs. But it almost feels like a bootleg in itself. HLE, a high-level emulation, it's when you don't emulate something but instead simulate it, really. Like if it costs too much CPU time to emulate a component, you might write a simulation of that component, or if there's a missing protection ROM dump, you might have to simulate it. So Super Cobra. Watch out for enemy missiles which are shot at you suddenly. Destroy fuel tanks and reload fuel frequently. Yes. This. Again, I can feel the input lag in the controls. I don't feel when just playing Scramble or Super Cobra in MAME. It's a hack. It's a workaround for not doing something properly. But if you're targeting low-power platforms, it's the only option you have because a PlayStation is not natively powerful enough to emulate all the components of the hardware. But anyway, yeah, I think I've played enough of this. Actually, it's the sound is quite nasty, but yeah. If you want some well-presented, but maybe not the best playing versions of those Konami arcade classics, that pack does have some really good front-end presentation. It's kind of interesting for that reason, if no other reason. I guess I can understand why you might not want to go and play it, because you can just play the proper versions. but it might be worth checking out if you want to see what Konami did for a front end. Right, let's... Thank you, UK Thoroughbred, for following. I think that's a Twitch, isn't it, following? Right, so yeah, let's try and be a little ambitious. This is probably not going to end well. But it's also probably something that not many people are going to be running in MAME. It's still marked as not working, but it's somewhat playable. This is Taito's Air Inferno.
Go backward. Over. Increase altitude immediately.
The arcade archive version also has the Scramble theme in. I wonder if there's a problem with the Super Cobra sound then. The original CPU and the original PlayStation, no, but the later evolutions of it could, Carlo. So this is a game where you play as a firefighter. And in the practice round, you just have to fly through checkpoints. So again, this is one of those very strange to see as an arcade game things. But in Japan they did like their simulator type games. You've got all the Taito Air games, the landing games, you know, Midnight Landing, Landing High, and obviously the train simulators, Densha to Go. So, well, to me it's always strange to see such a thing in the arcade. They were popular in Japan. And this is early, quite primitive looking 3D. So we're going to try and land there on the green spot, I believe. There we go. So I've got 91 points. Pilot Wings Firefighter Edition. I'm not even had to fight any fires yet. Now we've got to fight the fire and land at the heliport.
You are ready for takeoff. Over.
Yes,
Increase altitude immediately. Go straight ahead. Over.
There we go. Okay, I do have my.
Go straight ahead. Over.
I am going straight ahead.
Increase altitude immediately. Activate the fire extinguisher now. Make a left turn. Over. Make a left turn. Over.
I'm trying to make a left turn.
Make a left turn. Over. Make a left turn. Over. Make a left turn. Over.
I'm just not very good at turning.
Make a left turn. Over.
Yeah.
Increase altitude immediately.
Uh-oh, what did I crash into? Yeah, that'll do it.
Reduce altitude immediately. Make a right turn. Over. Activate the fire extinguisher now. Reduce altitude immediately. Make a left turn. Over. Make a left turn. Over. Go straight ahead. Over.
So yeah, it's not many games where you're flying a helicopter to put out a fire, to be honest. So it stands out as something a bit different, and you can play it. It is marked as not working, but best I can tell, the game is functional to a point. Not sure it's the most thrilling one to be streaming though.
Activate the fire extinguisher now.
Does it have foot pedals? Possibly.
Make a left turn. Over.
It has lots of buttons. I don't know what all the buttons do. I've never flown a real helicopter, strangely. It's probably not a good idea that I do.
Activate the fire extinguisher now. Make a right turn. Over. Go straight ahead.
Okay, let's go straight ahead. And land. Yeah, it is ambitious for when it came out. All right, Bob.
Increase speed immediately.
There we go, and I've landed. But yes, flat shaded 3D. It doesn't hold up that well compared to a modern 3D game, but it still is actually playable, which you might not expect it to be for such an old 3D game. There we go. But that is the end. If I wanted to play more, I would have to select the other campaigns. That was basically the practice mode. So the screen doesn't blank out the gradients there. That's one of the emulation issues. There are a few issues with the 3D still, I think, but you can play it.
Increase altitude immediately.
And yeah, Taito did quite a few games like that, simulation type games. And I thought it was worth showing off. And also the tune here on the title was really good too. It is neat for 1990, yes. I prefer it over the landing games. Obviously the landing games are more famous and got sequels, and I don't think there was a sequel to this. But a nice fun one, I think. A nice fun simulation that's, say, it's not too serious. You are controlling the craft. It's arcadey in some sense, but it does have a whole bunch of buttons, and there is a left and right, which may be the pedals that were mentioned for flying the helicopter properly. But I can't turn it. I got oh, I can put helicopter pilot on my CV now. Excellent, Bob. Excellent. I could probably very quickly get it taken off my CV if I was to fire up Airwolf right now, though. We've only played arcade games so far. Maybe we'll stick to playing arcade games. I'm not sure. Let's play Gyrodyne by Crux. Where I play as a helicopter type thing. Now this is one of those where you fire at angles. You can fire down. And it's got very nice turning animations. You can't turn a full rotation like you can in Forgotten Worlds, but still, it's nice to have a well-animated player ship. NES version of this is terrible. Did we play the NES version of this on stream before? You're not allowed to have a good time on the beach. I'm sorry. I mean, some people would say this version of this is terrible. I mean, you can barely see your own shots. Visually, it's not the most appealing game in that sense. It does have some nice animations though, like I said. No music though, surprisingly. It's one of those games where you really feel there should be a soundtrack playing right now, and there just is nothing. You've just got the sound of your helicopter and some shots, and I don't know, I've played so many shoot-em-ups with really good music that when a shoot-em-up is near enough silent, you really notice. Also called Buzzard. Is Buzzard an official title or bootleg? Maybe we'll have a look at the NES port just so that we can say it's not been all arcade games. Otherwise my stream title is a lie. You would say the arcade version is subpar. Yeah, it's not the most fantastic game in the world. It has a certain quality. The most annoying thing about this, and I think I might mention it before, is the actual hardware's got a really annoying glitch where the sprites are slightly corrupt, and I think it happens on every single board. At least every single board some of the Italian guys found had the sprite glitch on the flip sprites, which means some sprites are mispositioned. MAME doesn't emulate the glitch because it would be a pain to emulate it, but it looks like the hardware may be slightly broken in design, which also doesn't help matters. I don't know if you can find references to show that, but if you look at the player sprite, and I think especially the shadow on the player sprite, there are issues with it on the real board. Unless they've just been very unlucky and found a whole bunch of broken boards. But it was verified to be broken on more than one board. You don't like this one, Carlo? It's certainly no slap fight or tiger heli, is it? And that's some ugly grass. You got a little jingle here, but that's it. But I think I may be close to losing my helicopter license again. And yes, I probably lost it. So, you say the NES version is terrible, do you, Bob? In fact, have I run the right version? Yes. Same music. Is it noticeably worse than the arcade? The sound is... I think maybe it's not actually much worse than the arcade. Buzzard is an official title. Ah. Right, thank you, Aussie guy. Yeah, I would say this doesn't actually feel significantly worse than the arcade version. It's just maybe not the best game in the first place. The firing direction mechanic is a little interesting to play with, but you do need a better game behind it. You think this is better, Carlo? That's possibly a controversial opinion. I mean, for the hardware, maybe. I mean, it's a pretty average NES shooter, at least to me. No compelling reason to spend ages playing it, but it doesn't seem terrible. Unless Bob knows something we don't. Unfortunately, I think that's game over. Buzzard is possibly a location test version. That would make sense. I think Buzzard may be a better name, to be honest. But right, I'm going to play one that I've tended to avoid playing because I always forget how to play it. And if you forget how to play an arcade game, that's a problem. But this is Jaleco's Field Combat, which may have bad colours, I'm not really sure. And I may have played it on stream before. Oh look, the cocktail table graphic. So, oh look, I think we've heard this music before. So you're beaming up what look like toy soldiers, or blowing them up. Take your pick. I can't actually remember what to do. Clearly not that. Oh yeah, you can change. Beam up two of them. This is a good game from what I remember, Andrew, but I can't remember how to play it. I seem to recall it's quite like Sega's Gain Ground in some senses. It's got a strategy element to it. But what that strategy element is currently escaping me. So yes, let's hope the internet holds up. So how do you play this? Obviously I've got nowhere so far. Don't need to get shot, that's not good. And the left and right are selecting things down here, but I don't remember how to use them. Oh, I press both buttons to use them, there we go. Press both buttons to deploy the extra artillery. If I want to deploy a tank, I can go like that by pressing both buttons. I want to deploy men, I go like that. So I'm putting all the men on the battlefield, that's it. But yeah, I don't know if the colours are correct. It is marked as imperfect colours in MAME, and it does look kind of ugly. But you can see I've got all these helpers down here now. I can bring out whatever this is. Does that work against this? No, it got blown up. It was released in North America by Magic Electronics. It said that Kawa Denshi Gaiken developed it for Jaleco. So, what's the helicopter do? Throws bombs at people. So I deployed that helicopter there, which is dropping all these bombs. I think I completed the level. So yeah, you've got to use what's at your disposal to take out the enemy, and I think if you beam up people, you might get extras. Let's see, they've stolen two of my guys there, but I just beamed in a tank, and the tank's got added to my inventory of items I can use down the bottom there. Yeah, you do also have a missile shot, yes, Bob. I have used it a few times, mostly unsuccessfully. Now, maybe the frustrating thing is that left and right on your movement is also left and right on the selector thing at the bottom, so you have to move left and right to actually change your selection. I've got 3 men, now I've got 5 men because I beamed them up. But your actual ship is the most vulnerable thing, and you need to position it strategically to not get it destroyed. Your radar base thing. Let's bring out the artillery. Cannons. Yeah, see, I can miss out, but very precise. But if you can capture things, you can obviously use them, so kind of makes more sense if you can do that. I don't think that's my helicopter, is it? Or is it? I can't remember. Did I deploy that? I don't think I did. There we go, though. That is that wave clear. The troops are worthless. Let's deploy a bunch of... You can't deploy too much at once, apparently. Let's get a tank. So, probably... That's the thing I should probably use the missile on. If I can get it. But yeah, maybe some reference shots of this would help fix the colours, if the colours are wrong. I'm not sure. It's been a long time since I think anybody looked at the driver. When it was looked at originally, there weren't any real references, only the NES version, I think. And obviously you can't really judge how the arcade should look from a NES version. But in terms of playability, this does offer something you're not going to get in any other game. There we go. Captured that. I think that's that wave done. Yeah, I mean, MAME covers a lot. MAME emulates the Master System and CPC to an extent. I do sometimes play Master System games in MAME. MAME isn't really a system itself. MAME is an emulator that emulates many things, many arcade games over, you know, hundreds of different ages of technology, Andrew. So, you know, we've got everything from late 70s games, mid 70s games that use CPUs, right up until some more recent ones that didn't use the most advanced tech. Anything, you know, but 32-bit and beyond tends to be a bit ropey in MAME. So 3D hardware, newer stuff, House of the Dead and Light doesn't tend to run, but your 2D arcades, most of them run really well, even some of the newer ones. So it's not really a system in itself, it's many, many, many systems. But field combat, yeah, I say that is one that is worth playing if you like strategy type games. The bottom looks like a casino table. A little bit. Let's play a dragony game. Let's go with Jaleco's Saint Dragon or Saint Dragon. I think I might have played this on stream before, but it's always worth playing. Now this is another game that I believe got quite a few good home ports, including the Amiga from memory. Let's coin it up. Now there is a missing raster effect on the credit screen there, where it should do a sort of mirror effect with the text. Not quite sure how that is meant to be hooked up. Now, this is one of those where you can use your tail to protect yourself, so position things correctly and your tail is your friend. Don't, and it's not. But yeah, we've looked at some Amstrad stuff on the stream before. We looked at the CPC Dev, Retro Dev winner Shovel Adventure yesterday, and of course for Cow we looked at Cow Knight. This was developed by an NMK. Note to self. Watch screen, not chat. I like the rainbow on the horizon. That's a nice little touch, actually. Now, I think there's some debate on this over what triggers one of the bosses. Sometimes you'll bypass a boss entirely. People have said it's a MAME emulation bug. But other people have said sometimes the boss doesn't trigger on the PCB either. So there's probably some condition on one of the bosses that we don't quite understand that could potentially be tied to protection. But every time I look away from the screen I die. It's one of those games. No, Dragon Breed was the Irem game, Zontar. This is Saint Dragon. No, Dragon Breed is from a different company. Not Bleed. Oh yeah, they're both dragon-themed games, but no, completely different developers, completely different company. This time I'm going to stay looking at the screen. You can have a look at Dragon Breed in a bit if you want. It's not related. It's easy when you're looking at the screen, as on most games. Could do with auto fire maybe, but a lot that could be said for many of these shooters. which we're hearing plenty of keyboard mashing. First played Dragon Breed on the Amiga. Was it Dragon Breed that got ported, not this, or was it this get ported too? Maybe I'm mixing games up myself. I know one of them had a really good Amiga version. Yeah, many games do run out of ideas later on. This looks like a cow. Both were ported. Was that a mechanical bull? Both were ported. We're both good ports. I know some Jaleco games did end up better in the ports, like Rodland, because I don't think Jaleco had the best programmers. Although this is NMK, not Jaleco. So it's a Jaleco published but NMK developed. But you do look at some Jaleco games and think they really wasted that hardware. There's also a version on the Mega Drive. I've not played the Mega Drive version. Give that one more try, and if we lose this life, we will have a look at Dragon Breed 2. So I could do an entire stream of Dragon games, there are so many good ones. I may have to do that at some point. Just games with dragons. Not the Dragon 32, just games with dragons. Now, I wasn't aware of a Mega Drive version either, unless it's a prototype, it's not on the soft list. It's definitely not one I remember testing when I did the Haze MD stuff. No, we will not continue. I will be defeated by that. Valis was similar. Maybe that Valis was on the Mega Drive, wasn't it? Maybe that's what Andrew's thinking of. But yeah, let's have a look at Dragon Breed 2 while we're doing Dragon then. Because Dragon Breed was a different game. This was an Irem game. Completely unrelated, but it is also a good one. There was a Valis shooter game though, wasn't there? Oh, there's a homebrew version, is there? Interesting. I wasn't aware that there was a homebrew version of it. Is it a recent one? Because sometimes these things slip under the radar. If it runs on real hardware, maybe it should be in the soft list. So you are riding a dragon in this case. But it's got the... I can see why... you might consider this to possibly be related, even though it's not. But your tail does play a bigger part in this one, more so blocking the shots, whereas in the other one, it's a bit short to be of any use. I'm not sure it blocked anything in the other one. And now it's a bit like Silver Lion, where you're actually breathing fire as the dragon. So this feels a bit more like you are riding a dragon rather than just it being dragon-shaped. Saint Dragon also had an MSX port. So the original MSX or the MSX2? Oh. Yeah, your guy's the hitbox. bought it online in 2012. Interesting. So you've got... Is it on cartridge? You bought a cartridge online with it for the Mega Drive? Because if it was available on cartridge, then yeah, it should probably be in the software this by now. If it's dumped, which it probably is. Yeah, one technically astounding but not much fun happen, unfortunately, often. You can get off the dragon. You can also then accidentally run off a platform because you forget that you got off the dragon. Use the charge shot. You see, you can control the enemies with your tail in this one, which I thought you could do in Saint Dragon, but maybe you can't. So here we go. You can jump off. But you're very slow. Yeah, this is one where you have to really get used to the controls to master them. And say, work out the tail control. Because yeah, you can hide yourself under the tail for a brief period of invulnerability. Yeah, it's Saint Dragon where you can skip the stage 4 boss. Because a lot of people have said that was a main bug, but I think you're right, it's to do with what you destroy in the level. It's a very odd way to skip a boss, but yeah. You see him destroying things with the tail. Yes, there is a point to get off, because if you get off you can collect the power-ups. Unfortunately, and you do have to get back on. There we go. Then you can get all the power-ups. The off-the-dragon controls are somewhat awkward. It's not the strongest point of the game. Golden Dragon. Now this is clearly visually a superior game with more complex controls, better graphics. But Saint Dragon's still pretty good. I don't think you should write off Saint Dragon just because this is a better game. So you can do damage using the tail like this. Performed by holding fire and doing a 360-degree motion. I think I might struggle to do that on keyboard. Alright, Andrew, take care. I'll hopefully see you on another one. Thank you for dropping by. You need gold to cover yourself. Yeah, I'd say there's a lot to learn in that, of the different mechanics, but Dragon Breeds is up there with Irem's best. I mean, personally, I'd probably say it's a better game than R-Type. But not quite as famous. But yeah, it's a good one and definitely worth your time playing it. I've got the Capcom. I think the CPS-B chip I've got in the background is from Ghouls and Ghosts. So we should probably play a bit of that, shouldn't we? Or at least the Japanese version of it. I know I'm never very good at this game, but why not? I think most people know this, but sometimes you've got to play the popular games too, haven't you? And we are on 2.5 hours, so there'll be another half an hour or so of the stream, because I don't think we're going to go on for too long this time. Something about the presentation in the Japanese version I always have preferred. No the track sound turned on though, unfortunately. There you go. Look at that logo. Yeah, Irem games tend to be a bit difficult. I have looked at the CPC R-Type remake, Carlo. I think it's okay. It's not my favourite remake. It's still got very much tile-based movement in it, and the screen still feels very cramped. It's from quite a few years ago now, though, so it's not a bad remake for when it came out. But it's not perfect. I think last time we only played the Mega Drive version, we forgot to actually play the arcade versions of this. Yeah, the art is beautiful in this. I mean, the Mega Drive version of this is fantastic, but then you do fire out the arcade version, you realise just how much better the art is in the arcade version. The Mega Drive version, say, loved it at the time, but the arcade art is something else. So much more animation and colour. No, more detail than ever needs to have. I'm going the wrong way here. I'm meant to be going forward, not backwards. Uh-oh. That will show me. Say all the extra detail in the backgrounds too, for example here. Oh dear. Yeah, the Super Nintendo version was Super Ghouls and Ghosts, which was also on the SNES. Not SNES. It was on the SNES, obviously, but it was also on the PlayStation and Saturn. It feels more like a sequel to Ghosts and Goblins, because in Ghosts and Goblins you can't shoot up and down either. It doesn't feel so much like a sequel to Ghouls and Ghosts, despite being called Super Ghouls and Ghosts. Trees. I used to be really good at this game. It annoys me that I'm so bad at it now. It's just one of those things though, you get worse at games as you get older sometimes. And you do stupid things like that. Yeah, there's no direct SNES version. They just got Super Ghouls and Ghosts. I'm surprised nobody's actually ported this version to the SNES, the proper version. I think the SNES deserves a version of it that's not Super. I beat the Mega Drive version many, many times. Apparently I've lost all my skills in this game though. It's a shame because I really like the later levels. I wanted to show them off at some point, but if I can't get to them, that's not going to happen, is it? TG16 version is good. Yeah, I like the TG16 as a console, any of the PC Engine. But it's one of the SuperGrafx games on there though, isn't it? It takes advantage of the extra SuperGrafx hardware, I think. So it's basically a doubled up VDP. I'm going to get nowhere here, I'm already dying. Love the lightning effects too. And then I died there. And of course that means right back here. The SuperGrafx version is awesome. Should we quickly look at that then? We've got a bit more time. What's the set called? I don't know. There we go. There we go. So the SuperGrafx version, the PC Engine version. Let's briefly have a look at it then, because as people have said, it is a really good port. The sound's a little off too, but yeah. Also, it's quite hard. And things like the firing rate are noticeably different. Yeah, it does. And also, it's from memory, it's a good port. See, this doesn't really feel like it plays quite like the game should. Oh dear, I've got the torch. I didn't want this weapon. So I don't remember that bird being there on other versions, and the timing is definitely different. Hence why even on the first part of this level I am now struggling, although this weapon definitely doesn't help. So it is a good port. I think I still prefer the Mega Drive version. Don't know why I'm getting the point items. Got a bit slow down too. I like all the feathers still dropping though, that's a nice touch. The rose scroll effect is clearly done in tile boundaries. Got the original weapon back for some reason. The PC Effects port? You mean the SuperGrafx? PC Effects is mostly FMV games. See, personally, I think the Mega Drive graphics are better. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the art here. Maybe it's just because I grew up with the Mega Drive version. I'm still useless at it though. And we'll still go back all the way there. But yeah, it's an alright port. Say, the library of the PC Effects is very lacking. Yeah, it says most of the FMV games is like one or two that aren't that can kick or whatever it's called. It'd be nice to get the PC Effects emulator just for that, because I'd like to actually play that in MAME. But I don't know. Let's play another platform game. Let's play Data East's Act-Fancer. There are more details. The resolution's worse though, isn't it? I think. Nice intro on this one. 1989 Data East. So this always felt sort of Ghouls and Ghosts level difficulty to me. Though maybe not, I don't know. Last time I played this I really struggled with it and thought, yeah, that's just like trying to play Ghouls and Ghosts. Ugh. Maybe I was just playing it wrong at the time. Act-Fancer is a pretty good Data East game from what I remember of it. You can hover. So you probably can... There we go. Back to the start. That longer you hold jump, the higher you jump, and then you can hover, and that's kind of the basis of the controls on this one. It's important to remember that when you're trying to play it. But also when you're hovering... I don't know. Isn't this also on Haze MD? Act-Fancer? I'm not sure what you're referring to with this one. This is one that I did some emulation improvements of some years ago when I was refactoring all the Data East stuff, but this isn't a Mega Drive game. The squishy noise is also used in Alien vs Predator. Probably not the exact... Alright, Christian, take care. Thank you for joining. Do you want to continue? Yes, I'd like to continue. Now, I do remember not being quite this bad at this game last time I played it. But, it's a Data East game nobody really talks about, and I think it's actually alright. Slide our gargoyle creature along. Alien 3 the gun. Again, that was Sega, this is Data East, so... Right, those things power you down, right, and that gets... You see what I mean? It's one of those, you make one mistake, you're back to the start of the level games. Those are difficult. And you power just go off the side of the screen and don't come back. So avoid those things because they hurt. There we go. It's actually easy to beat once you know how to beat it. And we've got this thing. Well, not this thing yet, sorry. It spawns all sorts of things at you. It does have a bit of a Mega Drive feel too, yeah. Now, there is a checkpoint, so not right back to the start of the stage, thankfully. I don't think it was on the Mega Drive, though. No, I don't think it's on the Mega Drive. I think this is probably an arcade exclusive, unless it's got a SNES port or the like. That thing just looks like you've got to kill it and then you end up walking past it. I've powered down. Now we've got the actual boss. And she's not naked. And the snake got me. And I think we're right back to that checkpoint. We're right back to the start of the stage. As I said, it's quite a difficult one. It's a good one if you persevere with it, but it is quite difficult. Only the arcades. Yeah, I think that's why nobody really talks about it, because it's just an arcade exclusive that has been forgotten. Let's play another Data East platformy game. Do you continue? No, I don't. I gave up continuing. But Act-Fancer's never on those lists of unported arcade games you must play, and I kind of think maybe it should be. It's not a bad one. Hey. Konami power system. You can't find any evidence of a St. Dragon homebrew port. Interesting. Maybe there's some Russian hack that somebody renamed something else. I really don't know. So I've never heard of it myself. But, I don't know. This kind of has a Turrican look to it, although it doesn't really play like Turrican. One Oscar left. Can I win more of them? Tori can look in terms of gameplay, and not visual style so much. So. Mix of Karnoff and Gradius. Yeah, just have the Konami power system, and it is Data East Karnoffy. I think I always associate Karnoff with the very janky controls, though, and this doesn't have janky controls. An odd gameplay where you're building ladders. I should play Karnoff a bit more, because Karnoff is a good game. Maybe a bit of Trio the Punch thrown in for good measure. Trio the Punch being one of those games you wonder how was ever released, because it is just so odd. And the weapons that follow the floor are very Gradius too, aren't they? Last credit, and then we'll move on to something else. But again, one of those Data East games that just gets overlooked. It doesn't appear on any lists of games people make, and I'm not sure why, because it's a solid little platform shooter, which, as is mentioned, combines elements of Gradius with in a platform environment. I wouldn't necessarily say Karn myself, but don't stand there and get shot. I don't like this guy. And a dash of Turrican, yeah. And a dash of... I've forgotten all my strategy to do anything in this game. And dash of very difficult. I think this is our last life, so then we'll change game. Unfortunately, it helps not to lose all your energy early on. Because your energy is in the top corner if you hadn't noticed. I probably need to select the right weapon as well, because I noticed I haven't got any weapons that go into the air for that. And I probably need one. Oh, just... So I'd only got really ground shots on that grenade that went up, and that meant I couldn't shoot it when it was in the air, so I'd probably have to pick the right weapon for that boss too. Anyway, that was Psycho Nix Oscar. Another often overlooked Data East game. Still got loads on these lists. I wanted to have a look at Nemo as a Capcom game, or even Pizza Pop on the NES that was mentioned the other time, but I don't think I'm going to be able to fit those in. What shall we go for? Let's go for something nice and old. Let's go for Game Plan and Chaos. This appears to be a vertical game. Hold on, let me change the view. So this is one of those sliding platform games. You can get squashed by the sides. It says avoid sides. I should have read that really, shouldn't I? And you get transform, and I think you can get the crocodile. Don't go to the side though. But now there's walls in the maze. Uh-oh. No, I'm being pushed down. I'm pushed to the side. Now, many of these game plan games haven't held up as exceptionally well. Has to be said, I've tried to play quite a few before and thought, oh dear. There we go. Now I can get to the... Now I'm in Dragon Slayer mode as far as I know. There we go. Dragons be slain. I have fallen out of the game. They wanted it to be pronounced Psychonics. Possibly, yes. That would make more sense, Bob. I'm not sure I meant to collect all these. Because I meant to slay a set number of dragons. Or crocodiles, or whatever they are. Oh, now I'm human again. The sides kill you even if you don't get crushed. Was it just coins I meant to get? Okay, coins. Maze 2, avoid sides. So I thought I had to slay a certain number of creatures, but apparently it's collect a certain number of coins, and don't let the coins get to the bottom because that happens. Apparently if you insert a coin in the slot at the bottom, you get a dragony crocodile thing. The Japanese name is more or less pronounced that way. Ah. Yeah, it sounds like they possibly messed up the translation. Uh-oh, I think I'm in trouble here. Oh no, I'm not in so much trouble as I thought. But yeah, this is an alright early game. A little bit Mario-like with the coins coming down. But obviously it doesn't play much like Mario. this is Chaos with a K. I thought it was worth playing because game plan games tend not to get played very often. Don't really need this right now. Oh, I do need it now. Uh-oh. Does feel more like maybe an Atari 8-bit computer game than an arcade. And also, yeah, if you walk into the sides of the screen, it still kills you, which is incredibly annoying. It would be nice if the sides didn't kill you if you walked into them, or if it had put some visual indication that they would. But oh, no chance. Hey Paolo, welcome to the stream. I hope you're doing well. You're probably joining near the end because I think this, or the game after this, is probably going to be the last game you play because we've been going on for about 3 hours now, but thank you. It's always good to see you. Hope you are doing well. And if you would rather rewind the stream and see the games we've already played, I'm perfectly okay with that too because, you know, I just create these streams so people can discover games. Yeah. So yeah, this is Chaos. Early PC game, yeah, home computer game. It does, with a slight Space Invaders style to the presentation with the font, and it's kind of got that early arcade feel. Very early arcade feel. But yeah, more like a home computer game in many senses. But it's very playable. A lot of game plan games I don't like, but Chaos, I think it plays pretty well. And there you go, wraparound sides in this stage. So if I'd actually managed to reach stage 4, the sides wouldn't have killed me. Although, if I'd played like that, then I would have died anyway. You missed Forgotten Worlds. You missed the early prototypey version that ends, which we should probably mark as a prototype in MAME. Right, where should we go next? I think we can squeeze maybe one more game in. I'm not sure what to play though. Let me have a look at what's left in my list. There's probably a big list of games that I can potentially play. Let's play a rather janky Korean beat 'em up. Not Uncle Puno. There we go. This game runs on Hyperstone hardware and is called Vamph some half or something. It was I think the first of the Hyperstone games to actually start working. So yes, legal warnings. It's by Danby on an F2 Systems. Technique cooperated with F2 Systems. Clearly wants to look like a sort of your SNK or Capcom fighter in the intro. Let's just credit it. So Vamph X half, I don't know. Got a selection of characters. Let's pick Mr. Yellow Shirt and beat some people up. It's one of those with oddly rough animation at times. It's got some really smooth animation, then it's got some really rough animation. So you appear to be fighting undead. I'm not sure. And you transform. Now suddenly I can fly and fire fireballs and kind of generic, but at the same time the visual style stands out, which is probably the only reason you want to play it, to be honest. I'm climbing back down to my regular yellow shirt guy. I'm glad to know that, Steve. It's kind of the idea. I do play some of the popular games that people know, so that there's something familiar, but I do like to, you know, throw in the odd one that people don't know. And this isn't too bad. It's not perfect, but you see there's a decent number of enemies on screen at any one time, which means you do have to do the whole crowd control thing, which really makes a beat 'em up. You can't just go along killing one enemy at a time and that's it. You do get crowds of enemies to deal with. It's just... otherwise it's fairly standard. Your jump kick range is terrible. You can dash straight into baseball bats. Yes, definitely some Dragon Ball influences here. Not as much to say Dragon Ball or even Thunder Hoop that we looked at yesterday, Thunder Hoop 2. But there are definitely some Dragon Ball influences, you are correct. Unfortunately, I'm quite bad at it, as you can see. Power up. You offended me. You'll regret it soon. Wait. I will not regret it. Back to my standard form. And there we go. I didn't really regret that, did I? I get some bonus points. I got excellent on attack, I got excellent on life, and I got excellent on item. This is a little ridiculous, yes. I mean, there are more in-depth Korean beat-em-ups if you've played Age of Heroes Silk Road 2 on stream before. This is very simple. By comparison of that one. Should I make this the last game? Yeah, we're over 3 hours now. I think this will be the last game. There's plenty more I could play. Suddenly loud babbles. Could aim it at the GP32 in MAME. I think there's a driver. I don't think it works at full speed because there's no ARM recompiler. I'm not sure there's a soft list. I'm pretty sure some stuff does boot in the GP32. Maybe one for me to research at another time. See what runs and what doesn't. I don't think any of it's full speed though. Unless I'm thinking of a different game park machine. Anyway, so this will probably be over fairly soon. And so if people want to see any specific games in future streams, do feel free to leave comments in the videos and the like, and I'll try and incorporate them. Or, you know, if you mention them during the streams and I remember, I'll look at them. Sometimes it will take me a month or two to remember. Oh yeah, somebody mentioned that, I should play that. It's War. I feel something blood. I don't know, I couldn't read that time. Ow. Oh, no. We are dead. And I wave a little white flag. That was the best player. So, I think with that, we will bring the stream to an end. Once again, thank you to everybody who's been here chatting away, sharing facts, and letting me know when you've seen new games that you weren't aware of, because, say, it makes these streams feel worthwhile if I know people are discovering things from them that they haven't seen before, or sharing tips, or just laughing at me being terrible at many of the games. It's one of the things that makes these streams fun, and one of the reasons I keep doing them is just so that people can learn from them and people can enjoy them. So thank you to everybody who's been here. We have gone over 3 hours now, which means it's past 11 o'clock here, and I went on till midnight last night. I don't want to go on till midnight again tonight. Thankfully, Virgin's been fine tonight and not dropped out at all. So I will hopefully see you all on the next one. Take care, everybody, and glad to hear it, Mick. Glad to hear it. And see you all next time. And I hope everybody has a good evening or the good rest of your day, depending on where you are in the world. So, bye.